The alien vessel drifted through the cold void, its scanners pulsing as they bathed the human warship in waves of probing energy. For decades, the crew of the Verian scout ship had monitored humanity, observing their chaotic wars, their reckless expansion, and their stubborn refusal to bow to the galactic order. They had witnessed the primitive weapons humans once wielded: ballistic projectiles, crude energy beams, and nuclear warheads that barely scratched the might of true galactic powers. The Verians had always dismissed humanity as a savage, emotional, and impulsive species, too unruly to ever pose a real threat. But as the scanners returned data from the human warship before them, terror seized the Verian crew. A bridge officer's voice trembled, his crest of spines flattening in alarm. "Hi, Captain. You need—" Zorth's throat tightened as he scanned the analysis of its weaponry. The Indomitable bristled with a terrifying arsenal. Railguns firing projectiles at relativistic speeds, plasma lances that could shear through the strongest hulls in seconds, and thousands of missiles equipped with warheads that didn't just explode. They warped space itself, collapsing shields and armor like paper. But the true horror lay in the ship's secondary systems. The humans had crafted weapons not just to destroy ships, but to hunt their crews. Boarding drones armed with monomolecular blades and viral hacking protocols, nanite swarms that dissolved flesh and metal alike, and, worst of all, something called exo-troopers, cybernetic monstrosities forged from fallen human soldiers, augmented with enough firepower to level entire cities. A Verian officer turned, his skin pale. "This isn't a warship, High Captain. It's a nightmare given form." Zorth couldn't tear his gaze away. The humans had always fought like cornered beasts, using any means to survive, unbound by limits or restraint. Now, they had built a war machine that embodied that monstrous nature. A sickening realization struck him. The Galactic Union had long debated whether to integrate humanity or eradicate them before they became a problem. Many had dismissed them as unworthy of attention. That was a mistake. The humans had been preparing for war, and now they were ready. Zorth swallowed hard and issued a single command. "Cut the scanners. Power down all weapons. Send a message to the homeworld." "What should we say?" the officer asked. Zorth exhaled shakily. "Tell them we must never provoke the humans." Silence blanketed the bridge as Zorth stared at the monstrosity before them. The Indomitable hung in the void, utterly still, as if waiting, watching. The crew obeyed without question, shutting down weapons and ceasing scans. But it was too late. The human warship had noticed them. A ripple of energy shimmered across its hull, and a transmission sliced through their comms. The voice was cold, mechanical, yet unmistakably human. "Unidentified vessel. You have been scanning a Terran warship. State your purpose immediately." The bridge crew tensed. Verian ships were equipped with stealth fields designed to mask their presence. No species had ever detected them before. But the humans had, and they were not pleased. Zorth's mind raced. A wrong response could mean annihilation. He took a deep breath, forcing his spines to lie flat, and motioned to his communications officer. "Open a channel. Show no hostility." A click echoed as the channel opened. Zorth spoke carefully. "This is High Captain Zorth of the Verian Exploration Fleet. We mean no harm. We were merely observing." A long pause followed. Then the voice returned, laced with unfamiliar mockery. "Observing, huh? You thought we wouldn't notice. Thought your fancy cloaking tech made you invisible." Zorth's stomach sank. The humans had seen through them. "That was not our intention," he lied smoothly. "We have been monitoring many civilizations across the sector. Yours is simply of interest." Another silence. Then, the sensors detected a change. The Indomitable powered up, its engines flaring with unnatural intensity, its weapons systems cycling through readiness checks. A targeting system locked onto their vessel. Not one, but dozens, predicting every possible movement. If the humans fired, there would be no escape. The voice returned. "I suggest you pick another civilization to spy on." A warning, with an unspoken threat beneath it. Zorth clenched his jaw. He had underestimated the humans, as had the entire Galactic Union. These creatures weren't just another fledgling race. They were already at the top, and they were letting him go. "Understood," he said carefully. "We will depart immediately." A long pause, then the voice softened slightly. "Good choice. Now run along, little scout, and next time, remember who owns this sector." The transmission cut. Zorth wasted no time. "Get us out of here. Now." The Verian ship spun away, its jump drive activating, vanishing into the void. As the stars streaked past, Zorth allowed himself a shuddering breath. Humanity wasn't just dangerous. There was something else entirely, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Verian scout ship emerged light years away from the Indomitable's terrifying presence. Zorth had expected relief, but none came. Instead, a sickening weight settled in his chest. His claws drummed against his command chair as he turned to his communications officer. "Send an encrypted transmission to High Command. They must hear of this immediately." The officer hesitated. "Captain, what do we tell them?" Zorth exhaled slowly. "The truth. The humans are not what we thought." The transmission was encoded and sent in moments. The bridge crew remained tense, their eyes flickering to the sensor readouts, half expecting the Indomitable to appear behind them. Zorth couldn't blame them. It was supposed to be a routine reconnaissance mission. The Galactic Union had dismissed humanity as a lower-tier civilization, aggressive, perhaps dangerous, but manageable. They had been horribly wrong. Hours later, High Command's reply arrived. Zorth wished it hadn't. The message was direct. "Report to the War Council immediately. Cease all further missions. The humans must be re-evaluated." Zorth's blood ran cold. The War Council convened only for existential threats. The last time was during the UAR Hive's rise, a parasitic species that consumed star systems before its purge. Now, humanity was placed in the same category. "Prepare for another jump," Zorth ordered. "We return home at once." As the ship powered up, Zorth glanced at the void beyond the viewport. For centuries, the Verians had believed themselves masters of strategy, supreme warriors. For the first time, Zorth felt like prey, and he knew humanity had become the galaxy's apex predator. Worse, they hadn't yet shown their true strength. The Verian capital, Zaltorath, gleamed beneath twin suns as Zorth's scout ship descended toward the military command complex. Towering spires of obsidian and steel loomed, adorned with war council banners, symbols of order and power. That a mere scout commander was summoned to face them meant one thing: fear. Zorth marched through corridors flanked by honor guards until he reached the council chamber's towering doors. They swung open, revealing 13 warlords governing the Verian Dominion. At the center sat Grand Warlord Torval, his battle-scarred face etched from centuries of conflict. His golden eyes locked on his Zorth, and the room fell silent. "You have seen something," Torval said, his voice a low growl, "that has shaken even you." Zorth stepped forward, claws clenched behind his back to steady himself. "I have, Grand Warlord, and I bring grave news." He activated a hollow projector, displaying the Indomitable scans. As the data scrolled, unease rippled through the chamber. "This is a human warship," Zorth said. "A single vessel, yet its armor absorbs energy attacks. Its kinetic weaponry bypasses shields, and its boarding technology eliminates crews before ships are destroyed." A murmur of disbelief spread. Torval leaned forward. "You suggest a single human warship rivals our dreadnoughts?" Zorth met his gaze. "No, Grand Warlord. I suggest it surpasses them." Silence fell. Warlord Veyer, known for brutal campaigns, scoffed. "Absurd. Humanity is young, their technology crude. Even if they've improved, they lack strategy to pose a true threat." Zorth's gaze shifted to him. "Then tell me, Warlord, how did they detect us through our stealth fields? How did they lock weapons before we knew they were watching?" Veyer faltered. Zorth pressed on. "They didn't fire. They let us leave. And that tells me they're not just warlike savages. They're confident. They knew they could destroy us, but chose not to. That restraint makes them terrifying. They're waiting, preparing." A long silence stretched. For the first time in Verian history, the War Council session ended without resolution. No orders to mobilize, no calls for war. They had encountered an enemy they didn't know how to defeat, and the humans already knew it. The chambers emptied slowly, but unease lingered like the scent of blood. Zorth remained before the war table, claws resting on its surface. Torval hadn't spoken since the discussion ended, his eyes fixed on the Indomitable's hologram. Finally, he exhaled. "You believe they're preparing for war?" Zorth straightened. "I believe they're preparing for something far worse." Torval's gaze sharpened. "Explain." Zorth tapped the projector, shifting to the Indomitable's power core, its eerie energy fluctuations unnatural. This ship wasn't built for war. It was built for survival. Its armor suggests they expect overwhelming firepower. Every design choice points to one possibility. Torval's voice lowered. "They're preparing to fight an enemy greater than us." Zorth nodded. "Yes, and whatever it is, the humans are readying to withstand it." Torval was silent, then turned to the remaining warlords. "Begin deep intelligence sweeps of human territories. Analyze every transmission, every movement." He fixed Zorth with a piercing look. "And you, I have a new task." Zorth's spine stiffened. "Whatever is required, Grand Warlord." Torval leaned in, his voice a whisper. "Find out what they're afraid of." Deep in human space, aboard the Indomitable, Captain Elias Grant stood in his command chamber, studying sensor logs from the Verian encounter. His officers had questioned why they let the scout go. Grant knew why. He folded his arms, eyes narrowing on the Verian ship's final scan. "They're starting to ask questions," his first officer murmured. Grant nodded. "Let them." The officer hesitated. "Do you think they suspect?" Grant exhaled, glancing at sealed classified reports on his screen. Reports hidden from the galaxy for centuries. He stared into the void. "They'll find out soon enough." Zorth sat alone aboard the Verian dreadnought Sovereign Wrath, encrypted data feeds scrolling before him. The War Council had granted full access to human intelligence reports, and what he saw unsettled him more than anything in his career. The humans were hiding something. Their technological progress over the past 50 years was unnatural, leaping from crude defenses to warships outmaneuvering the Galactic Union's best. Their ships were built for endurance, their weapons for lethality. But the real anomaly was their lack of expansion. Every spacefaring race followed the same pattern. Expand, claim territory, secure resources, push outward. But the humans fortified colonies, built orbital defenses, and churned out warships at an impossible pace. Yet their borders remained unchanged. They didn't invade or conquer. They were waiting. Zorth's claws tapped the console. If the humans were preparing for war, it should be against the Verians or another Union power. But if not their neighbors, then who? His console pinged, a classified transmission from the Verian intelligence network. Zorth opened it, and his blood ran cold. A deep space scan from an uninhabited sector revealed wreckage. Not human, not Verian, not any known species. Gigantic hull fragments, remains of ships larger than any recorded, bore alien, twisted designs and strange damage patterns suggesting unconventional weaponry. Something had torn them apart. Worse, faint energy signatures flickered among the debris. Active, weak, but unmistakable. Whatever destroyed those ships was still out there. And the humans knew. Zorth clenched his fists. The Indomitable wasn't built to fight the Galactic Union. It was built to fight them. The humans hadn't let him go out of arrogance or intimidation. It was a warning. The question was, had it come too late? Zorth's claws tapped anxiously as he scrolled through the intelligence files. The wreckage wasn't just a battlefield. It was a graveyard. An ancient war had raged beyond known space, and something had survived. The humans had always known. He exhaled, suppressing primal fear. He needed proof, and that meant contacting the humans. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Elias Grant watched a tactical display. A lone Verian vessel had entered human space. No escort, no weapons primed, no aggression. Brave, his first officer muttered, or desperate. Grant smirked. Maybe both. He leaned forward. Open a channel. The view screen flickered, revealing Zorth's tense, reptilian features. Captain Grant, Zorth began, we need to talk. Grant tilted his head. Do we? Zorth didn't flinch. I've seen the wreckage. I know what your ships are built for. I know something's out there, and you've hidden it from the galaxy. The bridge went silent. Grant mutet outgoing audio. Well, his first officer whispered, there goes the secret. Grant nodded, eyes narrowing. The Verians were smarter than he'd expected. Humanity hadn't just found wreckage. They'd encountered its cause. They knew the war that destroyed those ancient ships would soon reach their door. Their militarization, their fortified colonies, the Indomitable, all were for survival, not conquest. Grant unmuted the channel. You want answers? Fine. But once you know the truth, there's no going back. Zorth's expression didn't waver. I understand. Grant exhaled. All right, let me tell you about the things in the dark. In the Indomitable's command chamber, Grant faced Zorth across a hollow projector, the Verian's reptilian features tense. The classified reports Grant shared contained data on no species but humanity had seen until now. 80 years ago, Grant began, we detected strange signals at the edge of explored space. We thought they were stellar anomalies. Then ships started disappearing. Zorth's eyes narrowed. Pirates! Grant shook his head. Until we found the wrecks. The projector flickered, showing twisted metal, shattered hulls, and scars from unknown weapons. Some ships were peeled open, others ripped apart on a molecular level. Zorth's spines flattened. This wasn't war, he murmured. This was extermination. Grant nodded. We sent scout teams. The first didn't return. The ones that did weren't the same. The projector shifted to helmet footage from exploration teams. Shaky, flickering feeds filled with screams, gunfire, and an inhuman shriek before cutting out. Zorth's voice was hoarse. What did you find? Grant hesitated. At first, we thought it was an old war, a dead civilization. Then they woke up. The footage changed to a grainy recording. A human patrol fleet approached a derelict ship, enormous and pulsing, its organic metal hull shifting. As they neared, it unfolded, revealing weaponized appendages and grotesque claws. Twisted figures, remnants of assimilated species, moved within. The attack was chaos. The entity adapted, deflecting energy beams, dissolving kinetic rounds. When it struck, human ships withered, their crews screaming as the air turned toxic. Zorth watched in horror as the recording cut. You survived, he said. Barely, Grant replied. We lost a fleet just escaping. We call them the Aravus. We don't know their real name, or if they even have one. Zorth exhaled shakily. And you've been fighting them since? Grant nodded. Not just fighting, preparing. We don't know how many are out there, or if they have a homeworld. But we know they're coming. The alien vessel drifted through the cold void, its scanners pulsing as they bathed the human warship in waves of probing energy. For decades, the crew of the Verian scout ship had monitored humanity, observing their chaotic wars, their reckless expansion, and their stubborn refusal to bow to the galactic order. They had witnessed the primitive weapons humans once wielded, ballistic projectiles, crude energy beams, and nuclear warheads that barely scratched the might of true galactic powers. The Verians had always dismissed humanity as a savage, emotional, and impulsive species, too unruly to ever pose a real threat. But as the scanners returned data from the human warship before them, terror seized the Verian crew. A bridge officer's voice trembled, his crest of spines flattening in alarm. Hi, Captain. You need... Zorth sat stunned, reeling from the horrors. The Aravus, an ancient, unstoppable force. The Verians had believed themselves the galaxy's pinnacle. Now, they were blind and unprepared. You should have told the Galactic Union, Zorth said slowly. Grant chuckled dryly. And what would they do? Dismiss us? Panic. He leaned forward, eyes cold. They'd have ignored us or thrown fleets at an enemy they don't understand. Both would be disaster. Zorth exhaled. Grant was right. The Union was slow, mired in politics. Revealing the Aravus too soon would have been catastrophic. So you prepared in secret, Zorth said. Grant nodded. We built the Indomitable, fortified colonies, turned outposts into fortresses. We don't know when the Aravus will come in force, only that they will. Zorth's claws curled. The Verians wouldn't last a month against an enemy that adapted instantly, consuming biology and technology. A chilling thought struck. Have the Aravus reached your inner worlds? Grant's silence was answer enough. How long do you have? Zorth asked. Grant rubbed his temples. Maybe a decade. Maybe less. A decade. Zorth straightened. He had to warn the Union, every species, every fleet. You let me leave before, he said. That was a warning. Now I asked to leave again to fight. Grant studied him, then nodded. Move fast, Captain. Time's running out. As Zorth's ship tore through the void toward the Verian Dominion, doubt gnawed at him. Would the War Council listen? Would the proud Verians accept they were no longer apex predators? He clenched his jaw. If they didn't believe him, he'd make them. The alternative was unthinkable. A week later, in the Verian War Council chamber, Zorth stood before the warlords, claws pressed against the war table. The air was thick with skepticism. Grand Warlord Torval scanned Zorth's intelligence reports in silence. Warlord Vayer snorted. Madness. You expect us to believe humans fight a secret war against some unknown force ready to consume the galaxy? Umans Liechtenstein, Zorth. This is a ploy. Zorth's patience snapped. He slammed his fist on the table, baring fangs. You think I'm afraid of humans? I saw what they saw. Ships torn like leaves, crews devoured by something we don't understand. He pointed to the hollow projection. That is death itself. Silence fell. Torval leaned forward. You trust the humans? Zorth hesitated. I trust they want to live. That's all that matters. Torval considered, then exhaled. You've given us much to think about. The council will deliberate. Zorth cut him off. There's no time. This enemy doesn't negotiate or scheme. It consumes. Once it arrives, there are no second chances. Torval studied him, then stood. I will summon the Dominion's might, he declared. Then we bring this to the Galactic Union. If the humans speak truth, we stand on the precipice of annihilation. His voice hardened. We will not die in silence. Zorth exhaled. It wasn't victory, but it was a start. 5 years later, in high orbit above Verian Prime, the Galactic Union's combined armada stretched across the void. Thousands of ships from Verians, humans, Zori, Telari, united despite rivalries. The Indomitable, now one of many such warships, rested at the fleet's heart. Humans had shared technology, the Dominion adapted tactics, and the Union built unprecedented defenses. But would it be enough? On his command ship's bridge, Zorth stood beside Captain Grant, staring into the black abyss. Grant's voice was calm, but edged. They're coming. Zorth nodded. Then we will meet them. Silence stretched. Then the stars shifted. Unnatural darkness rippled, and shadows moved. Twisted, pulsing ships emerged, organic and mechanical, adorned with victims' remains. The Aravus had arrived. The war for the galaxy had begun.